Hey there, everybody, and welcome back to The Psychic Within. Today, I want to share with you 5 simple steps to help you unlock your psychic abilities with ease and flow because they do not have to be something that challenges you, that stresses you out, or that you never end up doing. So, I truly believe that every single person is psychic, and unlocking your psychic gifts is actually much easier than you think it is. I see people using their psychic abilities every single day without even knowing it. So, your psychic gifts are innate ability that your soul already knows how to do and how to use, but your human gets in the way. I'm going to show you 5 simple steps to help you to be able to unlock those psychic gifts with the least amount of stress and the least amount of doubt so that you can start using your psychic abilities every single day. So if you're new to me, my name is Carrie Cardozo. I'm a master psychic healer and energy reader, and my gift is to be able to help you to unlock yours so that you can be using them in your life. So let's dive in. So when you're unlocking your gifts and abilities, there's something that's super important that I think every single person needs to do. And in the process that I work my clients through, this is the number one thing that helps you to either deepen your psychic abilities, to get more accurate with your psychic abilities, to get to a whole new level with your psychic abilities, to channel higher vibrational beings, you name it. This is the number one thing. And a lot of people don't want to hear this, but the number one thing is absolutely healing. As you're unlocking your psychic abilities, one of the things that I see that have prevented people from hearing their guides or seeing their guides is their fear around actually seeing, speaking, and communicating with spirit. So most often people come into this life as children with your psychic abilities already turned on. But what happens is that because you have these abilities turned on, spirits recognize that. And spirits come to you as a child and communicate with you. And sometimes they scare you. Sometimes you see things as a child that you don't really want to see. Sometimes you're connecting with beings that you don't understand. And oftentimes, what I see is people shut down their psychic abilities out of fear. Afraid of what they're going to see, afraid of what they're going to be told, afraid of what they might have to do. And I see this more common than not. I've even worked with people before. I remember this woman came to me and she was super frustrated that her psychic abilities weren't open. She knew she was psychic. And she said to me, I was a psychic as a child. I was psychic as a child. And I said to her, I see that you at 5 years old and this big being in your room and this really uncomfortable energy because you didn't understand who he was. You didn't understand why he was there. And immediately there's this response of no, 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 no. And you shut off your psychic abilities. You basically clog your filter. And that's exactly what fear does. When you fear connecting with something, when you fear communicating with the other side or with spirit, or you're unsure of what they're going to tell you, you block your filters. So by clearing your fears of connecting with spirit, of hearing messages and maybe hearing messages that are uncomfortable for you and doing that healing work, you're going to open up your filters and you are going to unlock your psychic abilities. So the second important thing in unlocking your psychic abilities is recognizing how best you communicate with spirit. Now, you might be saying, Carrie, how do I know how I communicate with spirit best if I don't even know how to communicate with spirit? Well, the secret is you are already communicating with spirit, and oftentimes every single person has a very unique way that they do communicate. And whether you're communicating with spirit or you're communicating with the people in this life, with the humans around you, the way that you learn best, that's normally coincides with the way that you are going to be communicating with spirit best. What I see happen with a lot of people is people will come to me and they will say, I want to be able to see spirit. I want to be able to see spirit. And that's really cool. Like imagine, sitting in your office and all of a sudden spirit walks in and you're like, oh my God, I see you. It's a really tangible way to know that you're communicating with the other side. But what I have found is that if you lean into the gift that in your human communicating with humans, communicating with other people, communicating, in your everyday life is very often the same exact way that you communicate with spirit. So let's talk a little bit about that. Okay. So when you're communicating with spirit, you're receiving information and you're giving it back out. Now, you, in the unique way that you are, receive information every day, even if you're not aware of it. We're always connecting with energetics. So as you're walking around your day, you're connecting with energetics. So if you are a visual learner, okay, if you're able to visualize things, if you're able to close your eyes, and if I say to you, can you see a purple dinosaur with red stripes walking down a brick road with black shoes on, if you can see that in your head, more than likely you are a seer. Another great example of a seer is somebody who's like really sensitive to bright lights. You can see the messages or see spirit and communicate through seeing. Okay. Now, if you're an auditory learner, you like to talk a lot, you do best by hearing things. Maybe you're really sensitive to sound. Maybe you hear really specific noises that maybe other people don't hear. You more than likely can communicate with spirit through hearing spirit. Okay. Now, if you're what people call an empath, you feel things like you can walk into a room and immediately you're like, oh my gosh, like what is going on in here? Energy is just very tangible to you. You're sensitive to touch. I know a great example of this is one of the things that happened to me as I got deeper and deeper into my psychic abilities and opened up all of my gifts and abilities. And you can do that. We'll talk about that. I became really sensitive to getting a pedicure and having that scrub on my legs. I could not stand them doing like a body scrub. It sent me, I wanted to get out of my skin. That's a really great indication. And things like that will happen, like you're touch sensitive, if you can feel spirit. And the other thing I want you to pay attention to is if you're one of those people that just has these random ideas pop in, these knowings, like you're that person that everybody runs to when they have a question, your magic gift is more than likely that inner knowing. Now, the reason it's important to understand and recognize what your gifts are is because oftentimes people will focus on trying to see spirit when they're not really supposed to, or they're hearing the messages from spirit when they're not aware of it. They think it's their own brain telling them stuff, or they have this deep inner knowing, but they just think they're really good at guessing. When you know how those messages are going to start coming in, and we put focus and attention on growing them. So practicing your visualization, closing your eyes, practicing expanding your third eye. Okay. If you're a seer, or if you can hear and communicate with spirit that way, you want to really practice and communicate with your throat chakra. So our ears are associated with our throat chakra. So you want to do some work to open and expand the channels around your throat chakra. If you are one of those people that you have that knowing, you want to be acknowledging when those divine messages just pop in, when like out of the blue, you know something. Because the more that we recognize the communication that we have with spirit, the more that we recognize that we actually are using our psychic abilities, the more you're going to get. And this is a really simple concept. One of the things that I teach my clients is as you're communicating with your guides, and we'll talk a little bit more about this as well, as you're communicating with your guides, I want you to acknowledge it, because the more that you build that trust with yourself in your different ways of communicating, the more you're going to get messages from spirit. Okay. Now, number 3, and this is such an important one, whether you are opening up your psychic abilities, whether you're connecting deeper with your soul, whether you are on a spiritual journey, whether you just want to know yourself better, is silencing the mind. And this seems so simple, yet it's a very challenging thing for people to do. I had a client reach out to me the other day and she was like, okay, I'm practicing this whole silencing the mind thing, and I can only do it for about 2 seconds worth of time. And I was like, keep practicing. It's going to get better and better and better. One of the things that's important for you to know is that the mind will keep you, okay, out of your psychic abilities. Even the best of psychics, if they are in their mind, they will not be hearing the messages accurately. We do not channel through our minds. Our mind does not help us to use our psychic abilities. There was a study I saw recently, and I wish I knew the information around this study. I do not. But they took a psychic, a very well-known psychic, and studied her brain. And when she was communicating with spirit, which I call channeling. So when she was channeling, her brainwaves were non-existent. They were just, her brain was silent. When she was having conversation, when she was talking, when she's doing all that kind of stuff outside of channeling, her brain activated. And that is scientific proof that you don't use your mind. We don't use our brain in order to channel. But our brain and our mind and all those conversations going on in our head will absolutely prevent you from connecting, from hearing clearly, from getting accurate information. And they clog what we call your channels or your filters, they clog them. So spending time really silencing that mind, spend some time quieting it, practicing, allowing the mind to stay silent longer. And one of the tricks that we want to do when we're silencing our mind is drop our focus and attention into our heart space. We can't be in two places at once. You can't be in your mind and in your heart space at the same time. So as we're working to silence the mind, you want to bring that focus and attention down to the heart space and focus there. And you'll watch how your mind silences. Another quick trick, and I have a ton of tricks to silence the mind because this is a huge priority when you're a psychic, but another trick is literally asking the mind to silence. You can say, I'm asking the mind to shut off at this time and to be silent. And when you do that, even if it's just temporary, even if it's just 1 second or 2 seconds, you will notice the mind is silent. Our goal is to increase that time of mind silence. We want to get to a point where when you're communicating, when you're receiving a message, when you're looking to get a message, that mind stays silent over a longer period of time, okay? So work on silencing that mind. Practice sitting in meditation. Practice just sitting in silence. Focus either on your breathing or down on your heart space. Now, number 4, and this is, again, all these things are simple, but they're super important. Number 4 is you want to get clear on your intentions. You want to get very clear on your intentions when you are looking to open your psychic abilities. So what are you asking? What do you want to know more information about? Who are you looking to get this information from? Again, one of the parts of this is that if we are not clear on our intentions, what happens is the mind starts to wander and the mind picks up more speed, and you're going to block any psychic communication from coming in. The other part of this is that energy works in response to intention, okay? It's why mantras don't necessarily work for manifestation, is because intention isn't about what you say. Intention isn't about, I'm going to do this, okay? That's part of it. But intention is the energetics that you're holding inside of you. So when we have an intention to manifest $1 million, it's not just about saying, I'm going to manifest $1 million. If it was, everyone would be a millionaire who said that. The intention is wrapping that energy and connecting that energy to the frequency of $1 million. Connecting that energy to the trust in yourself. We want to do a very similar thing when we are opening and activating our psychic abilities. We want to set that intention that we are connecting with spirit. We want to set that intention that we are trusting ourselves to do it, and that the messages are going to come exactly when we need them to. Because oftentimes what will trip people up is they will ask a question of their guides and then they don't get a response right away. Maybe because they're in their head, maybe because they're not focused on the right channel, the right way to receive it. And what happens is their brain kicks in and starts answering the question for them. We live in a world of like immediate gratification. So we ask a question, we want to answer immediately. And that's not always how it happens with your psychic abilities. So by setting that intention, being really clear on what you're asking for, where you need guidance, what that guidance looks like. What happens is that allows us to be open for spirit to receive. And I want you to think about something. Spirit is listening to us at all times, whether we're talking about guides, or we're talking about just reading energetics, or we're talking about communicating with angels, or we're talking about communicating with departed loved ones. They're always paying attention to us. Now, I want you to think about how much your mind is racing during the day, how many questions you have, how many things you want answers to. Oftentimes we walk around and we're like, oh, I wonder what's going to happen. I wonder what I should do. Should I be doing this? Should I be doing that? And what happens is that the guides and the spirits they're basically like, oh my God, which question do we answer? Should we answer all of them? And they become overwhelmed as well because our intention is not clear. If you get really clear on what your question is, okay, in knowing how you specifically feel about it, then when that information comes in, it's going to be crystal clear, as well as you're going to open up space in order for them to give you answers, because you're asking a direct question and your energetics are aligned with it. So getting really clear, setting those intentions, and holding that energy of trust that your question is going to be answered is incredibly important, okay? Now, number 5, and I love this practice. It's actually a practice that I have all of my clients do. One of the things that I created was I created a journal, a psychic development journal. And in that journal, I gave people step-by-step of how to grow your psychic abilities and communicate with your guides every day. And step number 5 is exactly that. I want you to grab a pen, grab a piece of paper, because we're going to talk to your guides. Oftentimes what happens is that we walk around our life and we have this intention. We're trying to get information from our guides, but we're not specifically asking them a question, and we're not giving them space in order to answer. Even myself, as a practice psychic, I'm a master psychic, I do this every day. There are times that I'll lay down to go to sleep at night and my guides are like, knock, knock, knock. And I'm like, oh, hey, I'm tired. And they're like, yes, but we want to talk to you and you have questions and you've been busy all day channeling for other people or creating content or working with clients. And we have specific messages for you. Now, my guides come in any moment of the day that I'm open to receiving them, because I've been doing this for a very long time. But guides will respect your wishes. So if you're not setting a set time for your guides to come in and giving them permission to come in, it's going to feel like you're waiting for a really long time to get that message. But if you create a practice every day where you have a pen, you have a piece of paper, you invite your guides in and you sit down and ask them specific questions, this is going to help you open and activate your psychic abilities. And I have something you can practice. One of the things that is really beneficial when you're channeling, when you're looking to connect with your guides, is by writing things down. So when you ask a question, you're going to write the answer down. So you're going to find a place to sit, and you're going to find a place that you're going to be uninterrupted, and it's going to be very quiet, and you're going to drop into your heart space. Okay. You're going to have a very clear intention as to what you want to ask. Then you are going to open your journal. You're going to close your eyes. You're going to focus on your heart space, and you're going to ask your guides a question. And then you're simply going to start writing. Just start writing. Whatever you hear, whatever comes to mind, you're going to start writing, and you're not going to stop. And you're not going to worry about punctuation. You're not going to worry about capital. You're not going to worry about paragraphs, none of that stuff. You're just going to write. What's going to happen is that we're keeping the mind busy by writing, and it gives the guides opportunities to come in and give you messages. Okay. You're going to practice this every day. And in this, to start, it might feel like you're not actually getting any information, and that's absolutely okay. Because remember what I said, the more you do it, the more you're trusting, the more you're connecting, the more your channels open and your psychic abilities begin to enhance. After you're done writing, you're going to close that journal and you're going to put it away. The next day, you're going to come back and read it. And when you're reading it, you're going to see, oh my gosh, this was information, like really valuable information that came in, or, oh, I know that my mind created this. And this is where you're going to be really honest with yourself. You want to be really honest when you know, oh my gosh, I don't think my mind created this versus, oh, this is something I think about all the time and I just was writing it back out. Either way, we're not judging, we're just recognizing where the guidance is coming in. Okay. And doing this practice, whether you use the psychic development journal that I have available on Amazon, or you just grab a pen and paper and ask your guides questions, this is going to help to open and activate your psychic abilities. And I will tell you what, my brand new clients who aren't psychic yet do this, as well as my master psychic clients, and every single one of them sees benefits and growth in their abilities just by doing this one thing. Okay. Now I have a bonus for you really quick. The universe is always communicating with you every moment of the day. So as you're going about your day, even if you asked a question of your guides in the morning, I promise you, if you weren't able to get the answer first thing in the morning, pay attention. The universe is always speaking to you, speaks to you in signs, numbers, shapes, songs, but the guides in the universe is going to work to get you your messages at all costs. Okay. Opening up your psychic abilities is easier than you think, as long as you have the tools and you give yourself that practice in order to do it. If you want to learn more on how to open your psychic abilities, I have a free psychic community where you can connect with other psychics, where I give tips and tools and practices, as well as daily channeled messages every single day. And you can find the link in the comments. My community is called Psychic Elegance. I'm really excited for you to be a part of this, and I can't wait to see you open your psychic abilities and share. And I'm excited to share more about the psychic journey with you. I'll see you next time.